Good morning. Welcome to a new travel series. So sorry, dark. I'm in my garage about to meet up with a colleague and head to the airport. So we are going on a work trip. So we're going to Alexandria, Virginia, and then over to Baltimore. So we don't go to Baltimore until later in the week. I'm taking you guys along. Don't know if you'll be able to see any of the colleagues, but I'm going to take you to the places that we'll maybe eat at. I have some plans on a free day in DC, so lots to see coming up, so make sure you subscribe. All right, let's head on the road. All right, we made it to the airport through security. Now we're looking for gate 49, get some goodies for the plane. So we didn't get here too far in advance. Love the TSA pre-check. So here we go. Gotta touch the plane.
I saw the visual.
All right, we are off the plane. We are having lunch at the Royal Restaurant. So I'll show you guys that when it comes with a work colleague. So yeah, we can't get into our room until 3, which that sucks, but oh well, what can you do? All right, got my gyro. It is kind of like the bootstrap meat. Oh well. And Emily got some eggs and grits. All right, everybody. So I am in my room. We're staying at the Sheraton, which is in Old Town. Very nice. Nice lobby. We couldn't get into the room until like closer to 3, but we're in it now, and it's about 2:30, so we did get in early, which was nice. But we went and had that lunch. Not that impressive. I wouldn't really suggest going there. I forgot that I had like a really cool place picked out for lunch. I was thinking I didn't have anything planned for lunch, and I was wrong. So dang it. Meant to go to the Italian place, and I didn't. Oh well. We have a good plan for dinner tonight, though, so I'm excited to show you that. So let me show you the room. It's very nice. I didn't anticipate this setup, so let me show you. So we walk in. Got the mirror. Hello. Then right here, after you walk in, another little mirror, a counter space. Down here we have the fridge and the safe and some empty space. Little baby sink, little coffee cups. Okay, just a normal undersink. Thermostat, I turned it way down because I am burning up. Bathroom mirror. There's some light. We got hair dryer down there. Bathtub. Bathroom's pretty standard, but I would say it's pretty roomy. And then if you go straight when you come in the door, we got this guy. Ooh, fancy light. This couch. I'm pretty sure that's a bed too. Nice, we won't be using that, but nice. So couch area, big TV there, a cute little table. We stopped at this little grocery store that's kind of like a Kroger down the street. Nice chair. Not much of a view, but that's okay. All right, there is where we had lunch. So not bad. Kind of a cool lamp. And then here's the bedroom. So you can get to the bedroom from the bathroom or from the living room. Cool. I think this is the king. Another TV. Oh, they don't have a dresser, but you have these little drawer guys. Little end table. We got some USBs there, a couple outlets. Yeah, a lot of plugs. Nice. Telephone. Closet, ironing board, iron. A little bit of hangers. Yeah, so that's it. That's nice to have this living room kind of area. in my bedroom view window. Nice. All right. So I'm gonna leave you guys for now. I got some stuff to put away in the little fridge and get a little bit unpacked, chill out a bit. And then I think we're gonna try to do a ghost tour tonight. So that will be cool. And then breakfast is included with the hotel. So that's awesome. I know there's a gym, not sure if there's a pool. I kind of hope so because swimming sounds very nice. All right, well, I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, I don't think I showed you guys this earlier, but this is pretty cool. It's in the center of the table. USB plug, smaller one for like Android, and 3 standard plugs. It's pretty cool. All right, so about to go out. Let me try that again. I'm so tired. I'm about to go out for dinner. I'm going to a place called Cheesetique, so that sounds pretty good. So I'll definitely show you guys that. And then I'm actually going to be doing a haunted ghost tour. So let me get the proper name of it for you guys. Ghosts of Alexandria Dark History Haunted Tour. So I booked that through TripAdvisor. It was $26.50. So we'll see how it is. I don't know if they'll let me record any of it, so might not be able to. Maybe I can take some pictures and then like do a voiceover. We'll see, but hopefully they'll let me just record some. All right, well, let's go on an adventure. Alright, starting off with the spinach and artichoke dip. Smells very good. Alright, got the pepperoni crust and upgraded to the macaroni and cheese. The spinach dip is very good. It's a lot for one person though, but it was very good. Alright, we're going to be going on our ghost historic walking tour. We got Megan over there. Just waiting for a couple more folks and then we'll get going. They said I could take you guys along.
Founded in 1749 as a tobacco port. It was founded by 3 families from Scotland. We have the Carlisle family, the Ramsey family, as well as the Alexander family, who the city is named after. He's the one who kind of put up the money for the city, because the city was named after him. House here in Alexandria, if you're interested in walking by it,
Okay.
Mount Vernon is pretty close to where we are as well. So the city was definitely flourishing for the late, 1700s, and that changed a little bit during the War of 1812. There was no battle in the city, the port wasn't destroyed, nothing like that. It was purely due to the city's reputation. You see, the city of Alexandria, they surrendered to the British without putting up any sort of fight.
Aww.
So surrounding companies and cities, they really looked down upon the city of Alexandria and kind of took their business elsewhere. However, the city did survive, and because they made that decision, we do have about 4,000 historical structures left here in the city to kind of be explored. So during the Civil War, the city of Alexandria was heavily sought after by both the North and the South. We had a railroad system, we had the port, and it was just a great geographic location as well. The Union ended up taking over the city of Alexandria, and rather than sending, medical teams and doctors, supplies out onto the nearby battlefields, they would bring injured soldiers back here into the city of Alexandria to be treated. So a lot of the buildings were turned into hospitals during the Civil War. Fairfax is heavily documented, the street right in front of us, as Union soldiers just kind of lining up, waiting for one of those hospital beds. It's also reported that you'd be walking in about an ankle-deep amount of blood on certain parts of the street. And then there's a block of a little bit further down where they stacked the bodies about 4 people high. This house right here, this was the largest hospital in during the Civil War, and we'll talk about its origins here in just a little bit. So there is a famous quote. It's by Ruth Lincoln Kay, and it basically says that if one person sees one ghost, then who are we to say that it's Megan? Carlisle, one of those founding families, and he built this home in 1749. A few years later, he welcomed a very distinguished guest to his home by the name of British General Braddock. And British General Braddock had several meetings here, one of the big ones being that he decided they were going to tax the U.S. colonies, which led to no taxation without representation, and then subsequently the Revolutionary War. This was the largest hospital during the Civil War here, and it held about 500 beds inside this house. In 1848, a man by the name of James Green bought the house, and he was a settler, and he turned the house into a hotel. It was called the Mansion House Hotel for a few years, and then when the Union took over the city, James, being the southerner he was, he refused to pledge his allegiance to the Union, and the house, as well as one of James's nearby factories, was confiscated. The Union ended up turning the house into the hospital for Union soldiers. There was one Union soldier. He was staying up here in this corner room right here. He had a fairly minor leg injury from what we have determined. He was being monitored for infection, as that is what killed a lot of the soldiers rather than their actual wound itself. And he did not like his surroundings. Obviously, the beds next to him were being changed daily, with Union soldiers just dying next to him all of the time. He would open the window and just kind of see men laying here on the street, laying here on the yard, waiting for one of those beds. So he decides he's going to get away from it all for a little while and climb onto the roof. He does not make it to the roof. He ends up falling to his death right outside of the second window. And he would mark this first kind of mysterious death surrounding this corner room. So we do not have a number as far as how many Union soldiers did pass away in the house during those years. However, in 1905, so the house is undergoing some pretty serious renovations at that point. It's about 150 years old at this point, and some work is being done. There is a man by the name of Samuel Markel. He is a carpenter in town, and he is doing some work in this corner window right up here. He's on a ladder inside of the room. He ends up falling off the ladder and out the window. However, he is not given medical attention right away. A lot of the passerbys just assumed he was sleeping in the yard. So we don't know what would have happened if he were to have received medical attention in time. Only a few years later, another man by the name of Patrick Buckley, he was a tour guide here in town, and he did these, revolutionary, early American type tours, and he was very well known in town. However, he had kind of a spotty reputation. Some people loved him, some people did not. He went out with his brothers one night, and they ended up getting kicked out of several bars. They started fights that night. They got kicked out of a Greek restaurant at some point. So they had a pretty crazy night. And at the end, the hotel was renamed to be called the Braddock House Hotel after James Green passed away. So it still ran as a hotel even after it was become their house. Anyway, and Patrick, he goes up right up here, and the woman in question is also, this is her bedroom, this corner bedroom right here. I don't know if you can see the ledging right there, but Patrick was a little bit intoxicated at this point. He looked at that wall and said, yeah, I could climb that. He could not climb that. He got pretty far though. He made it up and ended up falling backwards, hitting his head, and his body was found the next morning. The police show up and they rule it as a murder due to a large rip he had in the back of his coat. However, based on kind of his wild night before, it was eventually ruled an accident. So inside the house, we have no known spirits inside. And that is due to an old Scottish tradition where you bury a cat in the interior walls of your home.
You say cat, like C-A-T?
Yeah.
Ooh.
A cat,
Alive or dead?
dead, yeah. By what I've read, yes. And you bury it inside, and it wards off spirits and evil. And it has worked pretty well for the Carlisle house. When the museum took over the home, they did find the cat,
Oh.
re-encased it, and put it back into the walls.
Oh, so this is a museum then?
Yeah, it
Okay,
is,
cool.
yes.
You hear like what is on the triangle on the front?
Oh, so this was put up for an event. It's usually not here.
Oh, okay, so it's not a craft of anybody.
No.
Okay.
So they were these swirling lights, energy balls, whatever you want to call them, right up by this second floor window, thought to be the three men who fell to their death from the window. There's also two unknown spirits that are often encountered here in the yard. One is a child about waist high who likes to pull on people's clothing, particularly women's skirts and particularly on the stairs. One of my other coworkers, she was giving a tour and her guests could actually see her clothing going like that as she was talking. And then the other is a male figure, tall, large hands, who likes to grab people on the back of their shoulders, but we don't have any sort of identification of who these two are. But yeah, we'll go ahead and head off to our next location here. So the Old Presbyterian Meeting House and St. Mary's Basilica, or the Basilica of St. Mary, I should say, they back up to each other. They were built about 10 years apart or so. So the buildings kind of in between have changed hands throughout the time that they've been here. This raised grave right here, this belonged to John Carlisle, that first house that we were at. This is where he is buried. And then, well, you'll be able to see it once this group kind of disperses, but that is the tomb of the unknown soldier of the American Revolution. The body was found by the Basilica, by the Catholic Church, and it was sort of just an unmarked grave for a very, very long time. However, the church did put funds together in 1929 to create this tombstone for him. The Presbyterian Meeting House itself, it was built in 1785, and it was built by the tobacco industry. Most of the people who attended this church were those settlers from Scotland. George Washington, he did attend a service here in 1798, and when he passed away the next year in 1799, his body was put on display inside of the church for 4 days before it was relocated to its current location over at Mount Vernon. So that's only a few miles from here if y'all are interested in checking that out.
We've seen Mount Vernon.
You've been there?
Beautiful.
Perfect. The tower here in the middle, this is a newer addition, I guess. It was added in 1843. The church caught fire in 1835 and was rebuilt very, very quickly after that. And the tower was added only a few years.
Everybody's on the same schedule.
For real? That's around.
So was there a large group of visitors from Sheraton?
Yes. Yeah.
Girl Scouts. They were all thrilled, as you can imagine. At the end of the night, they all was for a group of
Here on American soil was in 1781 at the Battle of Yorktown. And then in 1786, a few years later, they passed the Religious Freedom Act, which allowed Catholics specifically, as that was a large community at the time, to worship openly, I should say. And this church popped up about 9 years after that decision was made, and it has been here ever since. So we'll head down. You'll see a lot of the surrounding houses and things like that. They have this little emblem on them. So the Basilica owns these homes.
Oh,
So across the street.
like the Parish House or?
And it ran from 1851 until 1975 as a railroad system. It was used predominantly during the Civil War to transport supplies. It was also used during World War I as well to transport supplies overseas. So if you walk straight through the tunnel, you will end up at the Potomac River. So that's why it was such an excellent spot here to get all of those supplies to a waterway. Also, there was a tobacco inspection station very, very close to here. So a lot of the tobacco that came from the States after the 1850s came through this tunnel to be transported over to England, as their tobacco would be inspected and then put on the train and taken straight up the river. The tunnel itself, it was built into a bluff with houses on both sides of it, and then the road was built on top of it. The tunnel itself was known to be very, very bad luck to Union soldiers. There was a woman who lived up here who liked to throw rocks at Union soldiers as they came by. So not a great way to start your day. So we think that that's kind of why it had this bad reputation for Union soldiers. We have another Union soldier. He was intoxicated, came down here, decided he was going to outrun the train. He could not outrun the train and ended up having his leg amputated here within the tunnel. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of options inside. The tunnel is also draws a lot of true crime fans down here as well. There are 2 unsolved murders that have taken place inside of the tunnel, both when it was still operating as a train track. One of the gentlemen was shot several times, brought down here. His body was laid on the train tracks to dispose of any evidence. We have no idea who the man was. We don't know who murdered him. So that is one of them. And then the other, a man was actually arrested. His name was John Rush. He came in with another gentleman, and he had 5 stab wounds in his neck when his body was found. John Rush was then taken to the police station. However, they did release him due to lack of evidence, as the only evidence that we have is the witness saw him going into the tunnel with this other man. So there are a couple of documentaries and true crime segments, I guess, on YouTube if you're interested in kind of learning a little bit about.
So where was all the tobacco raised or grown?
Just plantations in the area. Mount Vernon, they had tobacco there as well.
So that was the major crop here?
Yeah. So that's why Alexandria was settled as
that was their
as a tobacco industry. So most of those families came over together in 1749 from Scotland and created. Cool. We'll head back the opposite direction. Inside of the tunnel, though, you can feel these cold spots. It's kind of like stepping into snow. It's very, very sudden, and you know when it happens. And then a lot of people also say that they feel very, very panicked inside, that someone is trying to warn them of something. So that's typically what is reported within the tunnel of paranormal activity. So maybe these spirits who were murdered inside are trying to get someone's attention within the tunnel. So, and it's also a little bit cooler inside the tunnel just because there's the underground. So you're welcome to venture in if you'd like to. We will head the opposite direction though.
So what do you think, Cole?
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. Residential home during the Civil War, and it's commonly referred to as the Schaefer home because the Schaefers owned it during that time. And they had a daughter by the name of Flora Schaefer who lived here. And one night she was escorting her grandmother up to her second floor bedroom. She was carrying a lantern similar to this one, which ended up getting a crack inside of it, causing oil to get all over Laura's dress. Laura immediately caught fire and rushed down the stairs, and with all of that wind passing her, by the time she reached the bottom of the stairs, she was completely engulfed in flames.
Wow.
Her brother-in-law ended up throwing a jacket over her body, and she passed away later that evening of burn wounds At the time of her death, she was engaged to a Civil War hero by the name of Charles Tennyson, and the city was planning a very, very large wedding for the two of them. The Civil War was a very, very gruesome place here within the city, so they were really looking forward to kind of this big social event for these two. Charles Tennyson, after learning of Laura's death, he ends up going to his friend Henry's bar, which was just around the corner here, and Henry gives Charles a drink. He lifts his shot to the sky and says, "To you and I, may God save us," takes the shot, pulls out a pistol, and shoots himself in the head. He does not pass away automatically from injuries. His body is then brought to the Sheraton house just around the corner, and he passes away a couple of hours later on the first floor as well. Now, it has not been a residence in quite some time. It's also been a prison store in the past, it's been a real estate office in the past as well, a candy shop, and all of the owners, all of the employees, they have very, very similar experiences. They can always smell smoke on the second floor for whatever reason. One time, the real estate office, one of the agents went up the stairs smelling smoke. She ends up putting the back of her hand to that second floor bedroom door, and it's very, very hot. So she turns around to go evacuate the building, and the door bursts open and a heat wave hits her. But there's no fire inside the house. It's also been reported that the fire department's been called several times for no apparent reason. And similar to what you were saying about that heavy feeling on the chest, a lot of people have experienced that inside of this building. The owner of the candy shop, she also started hearing voices at the end of her shift and someone telling her to get out of the building. One being very, very aggressive, so that kind of made her a believer in the history surrounding the home that she was operating her business from.
So is there an owner who just owns it?
You know, I'm not sure. I believe from what I can tell when the windows are open and lights are on that it's the first floor is the gelato shop. The third floor is apartments. That second floor, I don't know. The curtains are usually always closed or the lights are always on. So I'm not sure if it's, yeah.
How cold is it?
Yeah, that would be great for the year. So they would go down to the river, get ice, bring it back here, put it in this well, I guess, and it would refrigerate everything that tavern needed for the rest of the year. You can kind of see some of the ices out there. So Gatsby's Tavern, it was a favorite to George Washington. He came here very, very often. And they actually host a ball every single year for George Washington's birthday. And a lot of, people who love history, they come to it, but also a lot of paranormal people come to this ball for a very, very specific reason. There's a woman, she is referred to as the female stranger, and that's really all the information we have about her, but she always attends this ball. She has been seen on numerous occasions. And what we do know about her is that she came over from the West Indies with her husband. She ended up getting sick on the boat over, and she was put up here in room number 8, right up here. And sorry, I felt it coming. Sorry. And she was put in room number 8 right up here, and ended up passing away inside of the room a couple of days later. The city thought that her husband was a very, very wealthy man, based on forged checks and things like that, his clothing that he had on. So they say, okay, this man is going to pay us back. So they go ahead and have a funeral for his wife. When asked what he wants on the tombstone, he says, I want it to say the female stranger. That was the only information that the city was given to bury this woman. So that is what they put on her tombstone. And as soon as her body's in the ground, he skips town. So we don't really know who he was. What we do know, some records came up about 50 years ago, I guess, that basically kind of gives a good idea of who this woman might have been. They believe that she was actually married to her biological brother, and rather than putting her name on the tombstone to be traced back later, it was to protect her identity as well as his, by putting this very interesting saying on her tombstone. So one of the incidences at George Washington's Ball a few years ago, there was a man, he was a paranormal expert. He came specifically to find the female stranger and hopefully get some more information about who she was. And he ends up seeing her dancing in the ball. They lock eyes. She goes upstairs, where she's often seen going up to room 8. She's carrying a candle with her that is lit. And he goes into the room, follows her in there, and he sees the candle. It's lit on the ground, on this wood. So he goes downstairs to get the manager, because, you know, this lit candle on the floor, not the best idea inside of a historical building. And the manager comes up, and when he opens the door, he sees the candle. However, the candle has never been burnt before. It's a completely white wick on the candle. So he thinks this guy is joking around with him. He goes to pick up the candle holder, and it's searing hot, and it gives him blisters on his hand. So that is one of the where there were several witnesses that saw her or her presence. But yeah. So if you have time and you're in town, maybe not this trip, but another trip, it still is an operating tavern if you're interested in checking it out.
When is the ball? When is the birthday?
I believe it's February. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's President's Day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's February.
But that's because it was a birthday.
Yeah.
President's Day.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, this is our final stop. If you have any final questions for me, please let me know. And thank y'all for coming out. I really appreciate it. And
So do you have a Venmo that we can put?
I don't have a Venmo.
Alright, so we are in for the night. So I'll share my final thoughts with you guys on the cheese restaurant and Cheesequisite and the ghost tour. So Cheesequisite was very good. I was a little bummed that they didn't have any pop. I like Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi, preferably Diet Pepsi, but you know, I can deal with Diet Coke. He was out of Diet Pop. I think they must have like just cans, like they don't have fountain pop. So he's like, well, I got, you know, all these fruity like Italian sodas. I'm like, yeah, I'll just stick with the water. So that was a little bit better. But that spinach and artichoke dip was so good, so creamy, so tasty. My pizza panini, so I think it's actually considered a grilled cheese, but my pizza grilled cheese was very good. It is a little bit spicy, which I wasn't expecting, so it does have a little bit of kick, so be aware of that if you get that same thing. And he said that was actually a brand new sandwich that they had, so it was good though. And then the macaroni and cheese that I did as the upgraded side was also good. It had a very like sharp cheese for it, so it's a little bit different than you may be used to. I don't know that kids, like that's probably not a kid's macaroni and cheese that they would like. I could see my kids being like, oh, what was that? They're adults, but it was good. So I would definitely recommend Cheesequisite. If I come back to this area, I would definitely go back there. We have a lot of other really cool places on the agenda too, so we'll kind of see how they all rank out at the end of this trip. But yeah, happy with that dinner. So the tour was also really good. As I mentioned, it was $26.50. Maybe a little overpriced for what it was, but we were with her from 8 until I think like 9:15, so like an hour and a quarter. So I guess, you know, that's pretty good actually. There wasn't as like much information or like sites as I thought there would be. So we went to, you know, a couple like cemeteries. She talked, like, the stuff about the tavern was really interesting. But I thought there'd just be a little bit more, you know, more to share, more to talk about than what there was. But she was really great. I really liked talking to her. Her name is Megan. So hi Megan, if you do find this, you know, you're great. And then there was a mom and son on the tour with us. They were also super nice. They're from Savannah. You'll hear her talking, and you might see her a little bit in the video. This camera isn't great with darkness, so this, you know, tour started at 8 o'clock, and it was already pretty dark at 8. So you'll see a lot of, like, the glowing lanterns, and some of the buildings are lit, so you do get some of that. But so sorry, it will be kind of dark, but a lot of great information in there. So yeah, you know, I would recommend, you know, kind of as a fun, a little bit funky thing to do, something a little different. The mom and son, they have done numerous, I guess, ghost walking tours, you know, in different areas, especially Savannah, where they're from. They've done a few there. So I asked them how this kind of compares to the ones they've done before, and you know, they only like half answered it because my Uber came, but she said that this, you know, good information, that this girl wasn't too wordy. I think they probably felt the same I did, like there wasn't as many sites as we thought there would be. But yeah, I think overall it's not bad. Definitely check it out if you're into that kind of thing. Alright, I am looking forward to putting my hair in a funky bun and putting on pajamas and going to bed soon. So tomorrow is the first day of the conference, so you know, there won't be a lot of activity vlog-wise tomorrow, but we will have a dinner. I think it's an Irish pub I have on the agenda for tomorrow, unless I flip some stuff around, so we'll see. But yeah, that's exciting. Alright, good night, and now we'll go into the resource. We end every video with a resource, so future me will give you the resource for today. Thanks. Alright, so the resource for today's video is foodfinder.us. So November is Hunger Awareness Month, also Good Nutrition Month. So, and we're just getting off Thanksgiving, so I think this is a good option. Food pantries tend to get a lot of support in the winter months, but after we get past, you know, like January, so like around February, March, they really start to suffer a little bit, and then, you know, into the summer, it can be a little bit tougher for food pantries. So when you're thinking about your holiday donations or service, just keep that in mind. Also, donating monetarily to a food bank can go farther than doing a can drive. I know can drive feels good because you can see, you know, directly the benefit of your work, or giving monetarily, you don't really get to see that. But they have contracts where they can buy flats of food way cheaper than you and I can go. So $5 can go a lot farther for them versus you. So just a couple of things about food pantries with your holiday. But if you are in need of a food pantry, you can go to foodfinder.us and you can put in your zip code, and then it brings up all these little red locations, and then you would click on one, and then it will give you the name of that. Being that I have a little bit deeper information on the food pantries in this geographic area, some of this information on here is a little bit out of date. So I was looking at the Salvation Army one in my area, and it makes it look like they only have a summer let me try that again, summer food program, which is not accurate. So just be aware of that. If they do give a phone number, definitely call them, you know, double check it with your local 211. They should have the most up-to-date information. But if 211's not available in your area, this would be a good option to try to find food pantries in your area. All right, well, please let me know if you have any questions. I will link this in the description down below. Thank you. Bye-bye.